All right, Nick, down 7-4 here. Top 9 in Busch Stadium. How you doing, Nick? You doing all right?
I am doing well. Got to get this echo off. There we go. That was good. I got another echo.
You got an echo?
What?
Is it coming through your headsets on YouTube? Do you have YouTube muted?
Okay, say something now.
Say something now.
Okay, we're good. Somehow I had like YouTube open on multiple like windows, and
There you go.
it was out of control.
I'll tell you a story one time. When Chatterbox was in its heyday, we were doing about 8, 9, 10 high school Friday night football games a week. And we had some lady that was sending an email in to us telling us that we had the wrong announcers at the wrong game. And we couldn't figure it out at first. We were like, what is she talking about? How is this even possible? We were like, I don't even think that's possible. Well, it is possible if you have like multiple streams up at the same time and you're watching one game and then you don't have a different game unmuted. We finally thought through that after a minute. And we were like, oh, that's probably what it is. So we told her to close out of all our extra browsers, and she sent us an email back and said, thanks. It's like, geez. We're going down pretty easily so far in the 9th inning, too, by the way, Nick. Down to our last out here, 7-4. Matt McClain, gamer, coming up here. Batting a cool 354. I feel like we're gonna have microphone issues tonight. No, I think we'll see if the chat can hear you. I'm about 99% sure that it's gonna have one of those nights. No. Don't sleep. Evan's saying don't sleep. Yeah, I can't hear you, Nick. I don't know what's going on. You might have to leave and come back in as you always do. Hold on. It usually takes a second for the audio to come kick back in here.
How are we looking?
You're back.
I'm back. I'm not gonna move.
We're gonna have to does that Shure mic have a USB in too, or is it just XLR? Man, you're back to muted again. You have to do it's gonna have to be the connection from your USB device into your computer. It's got to be that. All right, I'm going to give Nick a chance here to come back in here before we start the show. Reds drop this one 7-4. We're going to get into it. I think that there's some positive to talk about. I got to be honest. There's some positives to talk about tonight. Nick, I think you're back as I can hear the background noise.
I'm back.
Yeah, you are for now. We'll see how this goes tonight. Might be as rocky as this starting pitching efforts that we were getting on a nightly basis for the Cincinnati Reds. But we're going to do a show, baby. We're going to do a show. And here we go.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first run ever with 4 home runs in a game. Strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first and Homer Bailey for the second time in his major league career has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, welcome into another edition of Chatterbox Reds. We're here after every game, which means we're here after every win and after every loss. The truth is, tonight the Reds did not win. They lost 7-4 to the St. Louis Cardinals. We're hoping that we can bounce back tomorrow, but I think that there's some positives to talk about tonight. I know I'm not usually the guy that brings the optimism, but tonight I think that I am, because I just, for some reason, I feel good. I watched this game. I feel pretty nice about it. I know that some might not feel that way. Nick, your microphone's fighting for its life, I know. So hopefully tonight we can power through and it'll stay up. But overall, how you doing? It's been a day or two. I hope you're doing all right. And then on top of that, give us the old box score rundown whenever you're ready.
All right, how we looking?
You're
We
doing
alive?
great, baby.
We're live. All right. And Kevin Newman playing well the last 2 days has really just lifted your spirits, Trace, and that's good to see. It's good to see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, before we get into the box recap, I mean, like, the Reds were like plus 150 tonight on our friends at Betfred Sportsbook. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over this one. Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green the next 2 days. Let's roll. All right, box score recap. Ben Lively gave up 4 runs in the first 2 innings. Game was never really all that close. Reds, as they've done all year, they did fight back. Some good stuff in this game. Was Ellie got a hit after striking out his first 3 at-bats, really just showing off his speed. Matt McClain had a really nice day, made a really good play in the field, 1 for 4, double and a walk. Stuart Fairchild, how about 2 hits and 2 RBIs? And then Kevin Newman had that leadoff double to get the game started. But, you know, Ben Lively, as we'll get to in a minute, 6 2/3 innings, 10 hits, 7 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 3 home runs. A lot of hard hit balls, and that's pretty much your story of the ballgame.
Yeah, it did. The chat's always on it. It did feel like kind of the whole phrase of you take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. They did fight to get back within it there towards the end of the game. The Reds had their chances. I mean, the Reds had their chances. I'm not saying that it was, ever in a situation where you felt like they blew it. But they had their chances. They had some runners in scoring positions there at the end of the game to do some damage, and we just didn't get it done. Unfortunately, Hopkins he didn't have a good night tonight at the plate, and he came up in some situations where he could have helped. And the one thing that we'll probably get into a little bit is Ellie. Let's do it now. He's on the rundown. Ellie game number 4. I think people are going to freak out a little bit about his strikeouts, and that's somewhat deserved. I mean, whenever you're striking out 4, 5, 6 times in a row, it's going to cause some concern for people. The only thing I'd say is that there's adjustments made on both sides, right? He comes up, he hits a ball that was a fastball above the zone by about 7 or 8 inches, and he hits it 470 feet. There's going to be pitchers around the league that take exception to that. They probably think they're not going to be able to beat him with his fastball, so why not spin him a bunch of breaking balls up there and see how that works out? And it's working so far, but at some point, Ellie will make an adjustment. He's going to get used to what these major league, if you will, or the upper-level curveball and breaking balls look like, in my opinion, Nick. And I think he'll make the adjustment. I know if I'm optimistic, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be optimistic.
I mean, I think you got to give Jordan Montgomery some credit. I mean, I think he pitched well tonight. I thought he had a good game plan against Ellie. Jordan Montgomery's a guy who's had some really, really good starts this year. If you look through his game logs, he's had multiple starts where he's just really shut down the opponent, and he did that tonight. I know a million people on Twitter have pointed this out, so if you're on Twitter, I'm sorry for regurgitating it, but Ellie struggled at every single level when he came up, made some adjustments, and then went on a tear. This is from Joel Luckup. A-ball started 6 for 25 with 12 Ks. Double A, 11 for 49 with 16 Ks. And then Triple A, this year he started 2 for 22 with 11 strikeouts, where he made the adjustments and, went on to succeed. And Ellie actually started off at the big leagues better than he started at any of those levels. With the first 4 games, he actually has a hit in all 4 games to start his big league career. So, I'm not going to spend 1 second worried about Ellie De La Cruz until we're, talking 3, 4, 500 at bats. And I still may not be worried at that point, just with his unbelievable talent that he has.
Yeah, his physical attributes are the thing that that you kind of fall back on, and you're just like, there's no way that he's not going to be able to somewhat figure it out. The point that was made towards the end of the broadcast, I think Harold Reynolds got the full credit for it, but Sadak brought it up in the sense that it's really hard for a guy as fast as Ellie De La Cruz to ever slump anyways, right? I mean, a guy that can hit a ball on the ground like he did today, it was 98 mile an hour exit velocity, negative 40 on your launch angle. So it was a Baltimore chop for those that are, that didn't get a chance to see it. And he didn't even draw a throw from, I don't think it was a shortstop.
Paul DeJong.
Yeah. So DeJong. Paul DeJong didn't even make a throw. So good for Paul. I'm not really worried about Ellie. I'm not worried about Ellie at all. I do want to talk about some other guys, so I kind of want to keep it somewhat moving here. Ben Lively, I thought he battled. I mean, I know people are going to get on him. He gave up 4 runs in the first 2 innings, but he battled, and I know that ultimately he gave up that 2-run bomb in the 7th that kind of made the stat line look even worse. Some people were frustrated that Bell kind of left him in there too long, and I think it's a catch-22 with a manager. I do think there's times where you got to know when to go after it and when to just say, let's see if I can't get lucky tonight and just see if I can't push Lively through this lineup one more time or one more inning, and then just and again, I know that if it was the Game 7 of the World Series, or if whatever kind of term you'd like to use, a high leverage game, I do think David Bell would have went out and pulled him, and they would have went to the bullpen earlier. But this isn't Game 7 of the World Series. There's 162 games that you always bring up, Nick. And I think that the next 2 days, I don't know what the odds are going to be on Betfred Sportsbook, but I'd like to think the Reds are probably in a spot or an advantageous spot to try to win those games. So if we're going to go after some games, let's go after Saturdays and Sundays games, throw us all the high leverage arms we can, and try to win the series. I'm not suggesting we should roll over and die, and basically wave the white flag, and I don't think that's what Bell was doing by keeping Lively in. I do understand people being frustrated by it, but you can't always run these guys out every single night and just expect you to come back from 2 or 3 runs down. So I don't know what your kind of opinions are in regards to Lively, and then also the decision of letting him kind of go out there for the 7th inning, but I really don't take exception to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lively, he did battle back tonight. I mean, after allowing 4 runs in the first 2 innings, he had only allowed 1 run in innings 3 through 6. He's been fine. He's kept the team in the game. I was thinking as this game went on, Reds don't really have anyone to replace Ben Lively. Andrew Abbott's already up. Graham Ashcraft on the IL right now. There's not really any other options. Definitely not any other options I think are better than Ben Lively. So he did get 8 strikeouts tonight. That's kind of encouraging that it's not a complete like Connor Overton smokes and mirrors where, he was getting these good starts and he was striking out 2 or 3 batters. At least he is missing some bats, so that's good. I had 0 issue with David Bell bringing him back out there in the 7th inning. I mean, the Reds had a 95% chance of losing the game. Cardinals were off yesterday. All their relievers were rested. You can't be wasting. And I know people say, well, you don't have to use Lucas Sims. You could, but then you may get in a situation where, Andrew Abbott pitches like 4 good innings, but maybe his pitch count's really high up tomorrow, and you need to cover 6 innings in a tie ball game. You'd hate to waste Buck Farmer and Ian Jabot or whoever, and then you get into a situation where you need them in a 40, 50, 60% win probability game. You have to manage for 162. And so I had no problem, him trying to get another inning out of Lively in a game that again, you had a 95% chance of losing.
Yeah.
I think the Dodgers series maybe polluted us. Like, that's not normal what they did in that series. Those 2 comebacks, that's not really normal.
No, but they had chances tonight. I mean, give credit to this team to fight back. They had chances, like it or not. Tyler Stevenson balls go, if it's 7 feet farther, and that's a big what if you could play that game all day long in Major League Baseball and probably come up with different scenarios. But truth be told, if Stevenson catches his ball just a little bit cleaner, then the Reds are right in it, and maybe David Bell makes decisions a little bit differently, but that's not what happened. So let's jump into TJ Friedl. It is expected for him to return tomorrow. That is going to cause a corresponding move. I do want to stick with Friedl just a second before we get into what that move looks like. I'll be excited to see him come back. I'm hopeful that he's as good as he was when he left. That's always the concern. I always say the concern is always, do they come back the way they used to be before they left? And hopefully TJ does, because he's a spark plug for this team. I mean, like it or not, he's a guy that can play good center field. I don't think that that's something that this team can say they have if he's not in the game or in this lineup. I know people would point to Stuart Fairchild, but I don't believe that's the case. So, but your overall thoughts on TJ?
Yeah, I mean, Friedl was out a couple weeks and came back and had 2 hits in his first 4 games back. So he didn't miss a beat last time. Yeah, he's huge for this offense. A lot of mediocre right-handed pitchers coming up. Tomorrow's is the exception. Miles Michaels has been pitching as good as, literally been pitching better than anyone in baseball over the last couple of weeks. But after that, Adam Wainwright. I mean, these are some Jordan Lyles coming up. These are some guys that the Reds really need. That left-handed bat that is TJ Friedl. I just wonder, is Jake Fraley okay? Because I don't know why he would not have been used today. That would really take the wind out of the sails of TJ Friedl coming back if he's replacing Jake Fraley, because then he just moved your problem.
Right. Yeah, you still got a problem if Fraley's not available, and it doesn't seem like he is, because he would have hit tonight. There's no doubt in my mind he would have hit for Newman. Just because it was a right-hander. To be clear, I don't want to make it sound like I'm going to continue to be a Newman hater, because I've said this time and time again, Kevin Newman is playing good baseball right now. There's some other guys to worry about a little bit on this team that we'll probably get into. Friedel's corresponding move is, in my opinion, has to be Jose Barrero. I don't think there's absolutely anybody else it could possibly be. And it's largely not because I don't think, well, it is partly because I don't think Barrero can help this team a whole lot. But I think more importantly, Barrero is still too young to be put in a position where he doesn't get a chance to have consistent at-bats and be given consistent opportunities. He needs to find more of that at the AAA level. And like I said before, I hope he gets hot. I hope he has one hell of a run in Louisville, and then he makes the decision difficult for this franchise on what they exactly want to do with him. I personally don't think Barrero's bat is good enough to be an everyday outfielder. And I don't think his glove is ever going to be good enough in center field. Personally, again, this is a personal opinion. I hope he proves me wrong. I don't think it'll ever be good enough because his sprint speed is not good enough. And second to that, it's not like this guy plays on incredible instincts in the outfield, because he's not been, an outfielder a consistent amount at a professional level. So anyway, not wishing anything against Barrero. I still do think he can be a marginal Major League Baseball player, and who knows, maybe an all-star. I don't know, but I do know the guys that are ahead of him in this organization are just too good. Nick, do you think it's anyone outside of Barrero?
I think it should be Barrero. I agree with you on that. I think he needs to be getting everyday at-bats. I don't think there's any question about that. So I would be a little disappointed if it is anyone other than Barrero. I mean, I think it's possible they send Hopkins back down. He hasn't looked really good at all since that incredible walk in his debut.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible they go that route. They don't have a ton of infielders. That's why I'm kind of looking at this. I know they've kind of been playing Spencer Steer as an infielder, outfielder, but they don't have a ton of infielders. So that's my only thought on why they might go the Hopkins route. But again, it also could just be Jake Fraley. I mean, that's also a possibility.
Yeah.
So.
Fraley could go to the IL, and that'll keep Barrero around. But at some point, Barrero needs to play too. Like, it can't just be, he gets to stay up because there's someone that went on the IL, or there's a roster spot that basically needs to be filled on the major league team. If
One
he's not,
one question.
go ahead.
One question for you on that. I don't know if I would agree with this. Like I think he should be getting everyday at bats. Do you think there could be anything to they want Jose Barrero to keep working with the big league coaching staff? I'm just more playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I guess without sounding too pessimistic about coaches in general, it's going to sound like I'm act like they're irrelevant. Is what I'm about to say. I really don't think that when you get to the major league level, there's not. I don't think there's a huge difference for coaching in general. I think a lot of it comes down to, can some guys trust and feel comfortable with certain guys and their opinions? Yes. But at the end of it, I don't think coaches at the major league level are really making a huge difference. It's like firing the hitting coach at the end of a year. That's more of a scapegoat move than anything when it comes to making a change in the organization. And using Joey Votto as an example here is probably a bad one, but it's just like, do you think that Joey Votto or Matt McClain or any of these guys are actually listening to a tip that a hitting coach gives them? They've been playing this game for so damn long that it kind of is just stuck in the mold that it is. So I guess my point back to that is, like, I think the best way to get better and improve is to play and to get reps and to start feeling it in game action. And sure, you could work as long as you want in the cage, Nick, and get tips and do all that. It's just like real life, It's just like going to school. You can go to school as long as you want. But until you actually get into the job and you're doing the job, you don't really know what it's like. You don't really start to actually figure out if you're good at something until you actually do it. So that's kind of what I guess I'm comparing coaching to college. And I'm not saying college is worthless. I'm just saying that until you do it in real life, what you read in those little handbooks might not be all that accurate. There's some other moves that I think that need to be made. I went to the ballpark, as you know, on Thursday, and I was walking down the concourse, and I had my 7-year-old Grayson with me, and I seen Red's Head. You know Red's Head, Nick?
Red's Head Kids Club?
Yeah. You know that? So I don't know if you know how they do the jerseys. I'm assuming that you probably do. But I'm walking down.
I do not. I
okay.
do not.
Well, they usually do it by the year, right? So they're doing Red's Head Kids Club, and I see them promoting the club, and I'm like, you know what? I said, we need to be a member. We need to be a member. We need to be a member fast. You know why, Nick? I know you're not a numbers guy. I know you're not a numbers guy.
That's CES's number, isn't it?
That's CES's number.
I honestly probably know the minor league players' numbers better because I'm more focused on knowing who's who, and it's a lot harder to tell who's who in the minor leagues.
That is a big league move by me. You know why? Because that is CES's jersey right there. And they're selling it for Red's Heads Kids Club. Now, the only mistake they made in Red's Heads Kid Club.
Is that India?
I won't say who it was. That was the only mistake that was made. Just because, it's one of those things where you got to be intelligent on who you're trying to make your franchise player. However, I am fired up because CES is on his way, which is a good transition into Reds MILB, because I know exactly what CES did tonight. And if he isn't on this roster, by next Monday,
put a deadline on him.
If he's not on this roster by next Monday, then I'm going to make a scene. I'm going to start making scenes every single day because it's absolutely ridiculous at this point. It's ridiculous. I'm so tired of hearing about how he needs to work on this, that, and the other. I've been yelling for him to come up here for quite some time, and I'm sick and tired of watching the Reds be in meaningful spots, and I got to watch guys that are hitting 210 up there right now. I'll tell you this. If CES is hitting 210 after 100 at-bats in the major leagues, then I will sit here and I will do whatever this chat would like me to do.
I think it's possible CES hits 210 and he's still an above-average hitter, Trace.
Well, that's fine because he'll have like 30 home runs.
Yeah. I think he is going to have a lower average than I think a lot of people think. All right, I'm going to, you know what? I'm gonna twist this back on you before we get Reds on my LB. Name me 2 players that have wore their number 23 for the Cincinnati Reds.
2 players?
2 players. You know what? I'll let you get off with one because these are pretty hard. Can you name me one player that's worn 23 for your Cincinnati Reds? Last player was in 2022. There was a guy last year.
Oh, well, that's not. There's no chance that I'm. Was it Chucky Robinson?
No.
Was Chris Dickerson? No, I'm not looking at the chat. Was Chris Dickerson number 23?
No.
Man, I don't know. I got 23.
23.
Oh, Adam Duvall.
Jason LaRue. No one's mentioned. Guy. No one's mentioned. I would say probably the most famous, Hal Morris, wore 23.
Yeah, he did. Wow, I knew all those guys. I should know that.
Doug Flynn.
Did Mike Leake wear number 44? By the way,
I believe so.
Yeah, there was some shady stuff going on Twitter. I seen. Was it whose account was it? I forget. Someone's account said they listed out all the 44s. They put obviously like Eric Davis, Ellie. I'm missing somebody that's important right now that I can't think of. Anyway, Aquino. Yes, they put Aquino. Of course. How could I forget?
One number I know.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of alcohol that tried to drown out the number 44 Aquino. But point is that they didn't put Mike Leake on there, which is absolutely absurd and ridiculous.
Mike Leake had a great Reds career.
Yeah, he did. I mean, just because he wasn't electric, I mean, his hair was long. I thought that was half the battle in Cincinnati.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mike Leake's worst career.
Catch my joke.
I didn't. Unfortunately, Mike Leake's worst season in his Reds career was 2012. But he still wasn't that terrible. But yeah, I mean, he was really good in 2013 on that team that was really good. Just unfortunately, it was in a very, very good division.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of with everyone in the chat. Listen, I was watching this game tonight. I don't know if offense is really a huge issue like I made it out to be earlier this year, which it still is. There's holes in this lineup, but it's getting better. It's getting better largely because we finally brought these guys up from AAA. I mean, hell, where would this team be without Matt McClain? Jesus, I mean, hell, the Reds' offense would be down the toilet. The guy every single night just hits a double, gets on base twice, and finds a way with an extra base hit. And meanwhile, I'm out here just seeing nobody tweet about him. I mean, I think that there's a couple people, but good God, I mean, this guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the Reds offense has had 8 games where they've scored 8 runs since May 24th. So, I mean, they've had. I mean, it's kind of been a little bit of feast or famine at times over the last couple of weeks, but they've had a lot of big performances. 4 runs tonight against, Jordan Montgomery's not necessarily a terrible effort. I mean, granted, they didn't come against him, but nonetheless, he's a solid pitcher.
Yeah. Did you see Matt McClain play second base tonight? Did you see a couple of those plays he made?
Yeah, that one play. Well, my bally cut out like a lot of other people, but I went back and saw it. Yeah, that one play that he made going to his to the first base
his
side.
Left, his
really
left.
Really incredible. Yeah,
his glove side. That was Cardinals one of Cardinals' fastest runners too, I believe. Wasn't like there was a catcher running in that situation.
They've got a lot of fast runners.
And then he ran a ball down in like the Bermuda Triangle over there, kind of in the dead no man's land, out in short right field, if you will, down the line. He just has he played over there before, Nick?
Yeah, he was.
He has.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm telling you, when you have Marte, Ellie, and McLean, third, short, and second, it's going to be a defense like you've never seen before. It's going to be incredible. It's going to save a ton of runs. It's going to make the pitching staff look a lot better at times. It's going to be special. I can't wait for it. Coming soon to a ballpark near you.
Yeah. Alex, I'm not going to answer that question tonight, but everybody knows what the answer is to that, and it has nothing to do against that guy. It really isn't. Like, that's what people don't understand. I think that too many people make it out to be like this huge battle or this huge, well, this guy can't do this and this guy can, or this guy can't, this guy's a leader and this guy's not. Like, it's not even about that, man. Honestly, all it is about is just trying to put the best team that could possibly win baseball games out on the field. And forget all of everyone's feelings. Forget everyone's feelings. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares about all the feelings?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it. I mean, it's more about Matt McLean and his ability to play defense at a high level. It's the same case with Spencer Steer. Like, I think Spencer Steer would be a fine third baseman, but Spencer Steer can't be as good as Noelvi Marte can be at third base. That's not a knock on Spencer Steer. Spencer Steer's done everything he can. Him and Indy are the same type of players. Like, they're good players. They're just not as gifted as these other guys. And defense matters. Saving runs matters a lot over 162. It's the one thing that this organization has drove me nuts the most on over the last decade, is how they've just said the hell with defense. And it cost them. And I'm telling you, it cost them in 2021. I don't know if they would have made the postseason or not. But it cost them a lot of games. And I think people really shrugged that over because they had some great offensive performances.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into Reds MILB. We'll jump into the chat briefly here. We'll see if they got anything they want to talk about. I feel great, guys. I really do. I really feel really good about this team. And I know that I'm not usually that guy, but I look at this Reds offense on a nightly basis. Tonight's a perfect example. We were down. I wish I could reference the inning off the top of my head, but McLean led the inning off with a walk, I believe, or he got on base. Put it that way. India struck out, maybe. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
What inning are we talking about here?
Ellie bounced the chopper to shortstop. Steer then walked. We had three rookies all get on base in a row.
That was against Jordan Hicks too, right?
Yeah, that was against Jordan Hicks.
I had a note on Jordan Hicks. He had a 12 and a third scoreless innings coming into tonight, so he was pitching well too. I just
am so. The reason I'm excited too is because I think that there's guys that are playing down at lower levels, and specifically Marte and definitely CES, who have done the same type of stuff, if not better, than these other two guys. I'm not suggesting they're going to be better than McLean and or Ellie, but Marte has done better at AA than McLean ever dreamed about being. And if you want to get down to it, CES has been the best hitter at his level in spring training and AAA since he's gotten there the whole entire time. No one's produced more at the plate than CES, no matter where he's been. And I still love Joey Votto, but he's like 2 for 19 right now. 2 for 20 or whatever it is. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. Let's save that for another show.
All right, you ready? Ready to jump into it?
I'm ready.
I got a lot of notes here, so let's go. All right.
Can't wait.
Louisville bats 7-4 winners over Columbus tonight. Louisville now 34-26 on the season. I'm telling you, anyone who has followed the Reds minor leagues even casually, seeing the Louisville bats with a 34-26 record is really cool because that team has been really bad for a long time. They are 13-3 in their last 26 games, and they lost half their roster too, and they're still winning. One guy they'll probably be losing soon, Christian Encarnacion Strand, 2 for 4. Just hit his 16th home run of the season. Also had a walk tonight.
How many games, Nick? Do you know?
Man, I have like 100 notes, and you asked me the one thing I don't have. I think it's like 30. I think it's like 38.
I'm gonna get it for you. Go. Go
All right,
run through your notes, brother.
Home run was 104 off the bat, 414 feet. Joey Votto, 1 for 3. He had a home run, had 2 walks. Votto's home run, 103.6 off the bat, 414 feet. That was Votto's just his 4th extra base hit in 57 at bats for AAA Louisville and his 2 rehab stats combined. So good to see Votto, hitting the ball hard. Will Myers in his debut was 0 for 3. Henry Ramos, 2 for 5. He hit his 5th home run. Another guy maybe we should be talking about getting back in the mix here at some point. Maybe he takes TJ Hopkins' spot at some point if Hopkins survives a couple more games. Casey Legumina, he actually started this game as like an opener, an inning, a hit, a run, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Daniel Duarte, a guy that I think's probably got to get the call here at some point. Maybe when the Reds are looking for a reliever for maybe more of a longer stretch than I think like Kunal and Karcher. I think they're short-term fixes right now with Legumina coming back soon. Duarte, scoreless inning, and he has a 1.58 ERA since May 1st, continuing to roll. Chattanooga, they lost 5-2. Joe Boyle, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, did strike out 6, kind of an okay start from him. Nick Northcutt out of Mason, Ohio.
Yep.
Guy the Reds got back for Tommy Pham, hit his 6th home run of the year, also had a double, so good for him. Not a whole lot really else at Chattanooga right now with Noelvi Marte on a hopefully very short IL stint. The Dayton Dragons, they lost 4-2 to Cedar Rapids. They've been playing really well, but they fall to 28-27 on the season. Julian Aguilar, 4 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, did strike out 5. He's got a really nice 2.42 ERA through 10 starts this season. Edwin Arroyo, he extended his hit streak to 9 games. Austin Hendrick, 1 for 4. And then the Daytona Tortugas, they won 7-3 in 10 innings. Cade Hunter, he was the 5th round draft pick. He's a catcher, hit a 3-run game-tying home run in the top of the 9th. Bryce Hubbard, Reds' 3rd round pick last year. 4 innings pitched, only 1 run, struck out 5. Cam Collier 0 for 3. Also committed his 6th error of the season. But the good notes, Hector Rodriguez continues to absolutely rake. A guy that I think you're really going to start to see from the people much smarter than me. I think you're going to see him really start skyrocketing on a lot of these prospect rankings. 2 for 5, triple, stole his 7th base of the year. And then Carlos Jorge walked twice. He has 17 stolen bases for your Daytona Tortugas. That's your Reds MILB presented by Betfred Sportsbook.
The Tortugas got some guys, man. They got some guys. Yeah, I mean, it's wild how many players. CES is the 7th ranked prospect in this system. Now, whether or not that's accurate is to be determined. But the idea that that guy might be the 7th best prospect in this organization is kind of laugh out loud funny. Now, again, it could be completely bonkers. CES might end up being one of the best players that come through with this group of guys, but the Reds are in a good spot. We do need some arms. I'm not going to disagree with that. We do need some guys that come up and surprise us at the upper levels, if you will, the major league level that we'll get through. And Abbott's a chance to continue to show us tomorrow that he might be one of those guys. He's got a 0. I think he's got a 0 ERA last time I checked. I'm not sure on that, but I'm pretty sure of that, Nick. 41 games, if you were wanting to know. 41 baseball games, 16 home runs. Is that good? Just wondering.
I think that's pretty good. I think the Reds did pretty good on that trade.
Yeah.
They did pretty good.
They did. And you're not going to win every single trade, but you just got to hit a home run on a few of them, and they did on this one. I don't give her what. I mean, it's already proved its worth. I mean, that Spencer Steer in and of himself, I think, would be able to argue. You could argue that trade just with Spencer Steer. You add in CES, then you're already over the top. And I'm pretty sure you can add Will Benson. I know that's probably maybe against the rules a little bit, but don't you think it's fair to add Will Benson when you flip the guy that you got? I don't know, Hajar. How do you say that kid's name?
Steve Hajar.
Hajar.
They also gave up another player, too, that was their 2nd round pick last year. So maybe a half a Benson.
Okay, half a half a Benson. I need the whole Benson. Just saying. We can't be piecing out Will Benson. You know what I'm saying? He's got to be the whole package. You know what I'm saying? It can't. Just saying.
Hector Rodriguez, though, he's got me salivating over what Kevin Newman can bring back because Hector Rodriguez was for Tyler Naquin, guy not even in the major leagues anymore. So you never know. You never know, man. When you trade these guys at the deadline, sometimes you can. Man, I tell you what, man, the Mets, what were they doing? Like Tyler Naquin didn't even play in the postseason for them.
Yeah.
That's rough. Get crawled.
Get crawled. I love that hashtag. It's pretty funny, especially when it comes from people that are haters and it comes from people that love them. It's awesome. It's awesome. Got some beef in the chat, looks like. I'm just going to let them figure that out themselves tonight. You guys.
You're allowed to beef as long as you've liked the stream. If you haven't liked the stream,
Right.
Stop having beef.
Yeah.
You know,
there's only 23 likes tonight. That's not enough.
Only for likes. So, yeah. Get together.
We need it. Was it Arby's who had no free ads, but was it Arby's who had the beef commercials?
We have the beef.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's Arby's. Yeah.
Fair enough. So
I'm the guy to ask that question.
A little spoiler alert. I don't know if that's a good thing to say, Nick.
Because I like to eat. I think you took it to another level.
Well,
Oh man.
Sorry. Sometimes the month will catch up to you. You know what I'm saying? It's just been a long month. I know we're only 9 days in. We're 9 days in. But point I was trying to make in regards to the chat is, I don't know. I've lost my train of thought at this point. I've lost my train of thought. Can we swear, Steve? I mean, yeah, you can swear. The thing about the chat is that, you know, if you swear in it, I'm pretty sure it's against YouTube's policies and regulations. So just use the what are those stars called? Use the stars and the @ signs and all that stuff if you really think you got to get your point across. That's all. Go ahead.
Did you see the question? I know there's been a lot of contention. I think a lot of the contention in the chat is about if Derek Johnson is a good pitching coach. And I think our good pal, who we love, OJ Bronco, always the first one in here. We can't thank you enough. And is very against DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like Luke Weaver's the highest paid pitcher on the Reds right now at $2 million. Like, I think you kind of getting what you pay for. I think you have to look at the individual success, and maybe Graham Ashcraft is one that you can look at as a negative right now. But there is a lot of other ones. A lot of these relievers, like guys like Buck Farmer, Ian Jabot, Alex Young, these guys were picked up off the scrap heap, and they're pitching well. So I don't know. You got any thoughts on Derek Johnson overall?
I guess I'm going to sound like a little bit of an idiot maybe to some. Maybe people that this is a question that I'm going to start asking, actually. I'm going to ask some people. I'm not saying I know people, but I know some people that play. I know some people, and I'm going to ask them. I'm not going to bug them during the middle of the year, but I'm going to ask them maybe towards the end of this year in the offseason, just what their value is placed on their positional coach and or their coaching in general. And maybe I'm just misreading this or misinterpreting it. I just don't think coaching matters at this level all that much. I really don't. I think you look like a genius. Sparky Anderson looked like a genius because he had, a bunch of Hall of Famers running out there every single day. I think that, the pitching coach that used to chew his gum really, really hard over there in Atlanta, and, I can't remember the guy's name, but he had
Leo
Maddox.
Mazzoni.
I don't know if it was Mazzoni, but you're on to it. I think it's Anyway, he had Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz. I mean, yeah, he's a good pitching coach now. I don't know. I mean, these guys just don't seem. I don't think they matter. I don't think they matter. I think the manager matters. I think the pitching coach matters maybe enough. You got to be somewhat competent. And maybe more than anything, you could judge a pitching coach based off of their psychological ability to be able to be a psychologist. But as far as teaching guys stuff, I don't know, man.
I guess I would ask this question back. How many pitching staffs, how many like total pitchers top
Yeah.
to bottom has Derek Johnson have that you said, yeah, he had a really good crop sent to him? I would say 2020 is probably the only year, and
Yeah,
that was the only reason. That was the only reason they competed, was because of their pitching, because the lineup was terrible in that 60 game stretch.
Yeah, and before I make that point, I want to say Robert Bryant's on to what I was trying to say. I mean, you're managing egos. You're more or less being a personality. To your point about what DJ's actually had, he's done a good job with a few guys, and then you could say, like you said, Ashcraft struggled. Who's the arm that we got last year that was basically a boat anchor? I think he ended up getting hurt. They signed him.
Mike Minor.
Yeah. Sonny Gray was a smashing success.
He was terrible with the Yankees.
Yeah, and now he's
like the best pitcher on the planet right now.
Right. So you could argue that maybe he just needed to get a new scenery. I don't know. It's hard for me to sit here and say what any specific coach is worth, right? Like,
I think you need more time to evaluate him. I think you need to see. I mean, obviously, you start with Green, Ashcraft, Ladola. What do those guys look like in 2 years? And then I think you have a better idea how good of a he is more than just the pitching coach. He is like the pitching. I don't know the exact pitching coordinator.
He's the pitching coordinator for
organization.
the organization, which is a whole nother debatable thing. I don't know. It seems like that almost seems like the head coach calling plays. It all goes really, really well if things are going good. But as soon as things become average and or below average, everyone's going to start yelling and screaming because there's too much job responsibility on one person, right? Like anytime, like I said, in college football and or professional football, if the head coach also calls plays, there is no doubt that if the offense struggles just a little bit, there will be complaints about how that head coach shouldn't be calling the plays. There's too much on their plate. Or if they make a mistake in clock management, too much on their plate. DJ, if he's in a spot now where if this pitching staff starts to struggle and or guys at the lower level start to struggle that we were high on, he is going to get he's just going to get the root of the blame. And I don't know if it's valid. I think that's what you're getting at. I don't know. I guess I'm pleading the fifth on this a little bit because I just I don't have a strong take one or the other on it. But I do think Graham Ashcraft is going to be a pretty good pitcher. I'm going to stick my neck out there and say that. I think that I was high on Graham. I'm still high on Graham. I think that there's a couple things that could have affected him. One of them is just confidence in general, and it snowballed on him a little bit, and then he ran into the Dodgers when he wasn't already probably throwing the ball that well. You couple that with the fact of something that give credit to Sir Boy. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight, but he's brought up the fact that he did lose someone that was very, very special to him and his grandmother. We've seen what that's done to some other guys, a la Joey Votto with his father. Sometimes that just gets to guys and they can't handle it and it spirals out of control. And the next thing you know, they're starting to feel sorry for themselves. And then when you feel sorry for yourself, that's just not what the game of baseball does. It doesn't allow you to do that. So as soon as you get to that point, until you snap out of it, you're going to have some struggles. I still think that this rotation is going to be fine. I think Ashcraft will be fine. Ladola concerns me from a health standpoint. I think Hunter Green will be just fine. And then I think that Abbott's going to end up being a pretty good little player. The question of the day comes down to, can we find 3 or 4 other guys, Nick, that are diamonds in the rough or guys that come up through the system that end up getting over the proverbial hump and being a starter? Because regardless, I think it's safe to say, and I want your opinion on this, I think it's safe to say that we have enough guys coming up right now that have so much success or so much power or so much dominance in certain spots that we're going to find a couple of relievers. I really do think we'll run into a couple of relievers.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the Reds minor league system, maybe the 2 most important players, maybe even more important than Christian Encarnacion Strand, as crazy as this might sound, might be Chase Petty and Connor Phillips. And how do those 2 guys develop over the next, couple years before they get to the big leagues? Connor Phillips might be here next year. Chase Petty, probably looking at 2025, maybe the end of next year if things really go well. But those 2 guys are really important. I love everything I've seen out of them. But they're still, Chase Petty's still in Dayton. Connor Phillips is still in Double-A. Those two guys, their development is going to be really, really important for this franchise. And I do have a question for you, though, Trace.
Yeah, someone's bringing up the point of they want Skeens with the 7th overall pick. That is not happening. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're, I follow a lot of stuff, man. I am not going to give you any. I'm not going to tell you who I want in the college.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
draft.
he won't be there at 7. And if he is at 7 and the Reds don't take him, I will personally write a check to whoever wants him at 7. I'll personally write $1,000 check to them. That's how confident I am that won't happen. But go ahead.
Pick one for the future.
Will do.
Graham Ashcraft or Andrew Abbott? That's a good question. Chat, what would you say?
Man, this is like this is the old what's the term that's always used? Prisoner of the moment. Is that kind of the term?
Yeah. Are you a prisoner of the moment? Yeah. I don't think our chat is. I've seen 2 Ashcrafts. Oh, here comes an Abbott.
If you put me up against it right now and you said you had to pick, I think I'm gonna take Abbott.
Yeah, I'm taking Abbott too.
Yeah. And you know what I think about Ashcraft though? I think his stuff is so powerful. I think Ashcraft could have a hell of a career out of the bullpen if it came to that, because he has that type of stuff. Like I don't want to say Abbott doesn't have that type of stuff, but Abbott reminds me of a guy that is going to be very good being able to just pitch. He's just a pitcher. Sometimes I think Graham Ashcraft and Hunter Green, for that matter, they're just good. They throw the ball really well. They're not, I don't want to say they're not pitchers, but hopefully you get where I'm going with that.
Honestly, tonight's pitcher kind of reminds me of what Andrew Abbott might look like in a couple years. Maybe a little more up to, a lefty. He's 30 now. Last year was really good. ERA in the mid 3s. Abbott probably has more swing and miss than he has, but that's kind of the type of pitcher that I could see Abbott kind of turning into. I just think Abbott, it just feels like his floor is probably pretty high. That's the thing.
Yes. You know what? That's what I love the most about guys. I see, like, Ellie's so fun and so special and so absurdly ridiculous, and his ceiling is unbelievably high, right? He's got the highest ceiling of anyone I've ever seen. But one may argue that his floor could be a little bit lower than some other guys. Like, is his floor lower than Matt McLean? It's hard for me to say that because Ellie's so freaking fast. It's hard for me to say that because Ellie is so good in the diamond. Ellie's one of those unique guys where his floor might be higher than everyone and his ceiling's just way higher than everyone. But I personally rather have these floor guys that are the floor is relatively high, but the ceiling isn't nearly as high as other guys. I just want consistent, solid baseball players, man. I don't want guys going in these long slumps and their mental, I don't want to use the other term, a term that I always use, because I think maybe I'll ask you after the show if I'm allowed to use it, because I've used it my whole life. And I got really close to saying it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't say this. It's not, I don't make it sound like it's bad. But they're mentally weak is what I'm getting at.
I think it's good to have a balance of players with the high ceilings and then, guys with the higher floors. And I think the Reds have that right now. I think De La Cruz and Marty are the guys with super high ceilings, and McLean and CES are probably the guys with the higher floors. But I don't think their ceilings necessarily low, but I think they're more safer type prospects.
Steer feels like a guy that's ceilings.
That was who I meant. I meant McLean and Steer. Steer was actually who I meant to add with it. Yeah, I feel like Steer's like, what's Steer's worse? Like, I don't.
It doesn't seem like it's that bad, man. I mean, Steer seems like he's going to be a pretty solid hitter regardless, and that's what I am looking forward to seeing how Ellie bounces back at the major league level. He's not even struggling. That's the funny thing. But let's just say he's struggling. He's striking out a good amount. What does he actually do when he starts to struggle? Final parting thoughts here as we end the stream. The streams don't end quite quite nearly as much fun when we lose. But anything else to add here before we end the night?
Just tomorrow's starters, ready for that?
Always ready for that, baby. Oh, look there it is. Abbott, I like his ERA.
Yeah, let's start off with Miles Michaelis. 0.90 ERA and 1.89 FIP over his last 3 starts. That's the best in Major League Baseball. In his last start, he did allow 10 hits, though, against the Pirates, but only 2 runs. Michaelis actually just faced the Reds back on May 25th. 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 Ks. Might remember that was the pitcher's duel against Luke Weaver. Michaelis has struggled against the Reds, though. Career 5.02 ERA and 81 innings pitched. India has 2 home runs against Michaelis, so maybe that could get him going. Stuart Fairchild also has a homer off him, and Michaelis has actually been a lot worse at home this year than he's been on the road. Andrew Abbott, of course, couldn't get much better than his debut. 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts in his Major League debut on Monday against the Brewers. Abbott, a 2.25 ERA and 11 starts across 3 different levels this season. 96 strikeouts in 60 innings pitched. And one other note on Abbott that I didn't notice during the broadcast, but when I was looking through some of the sites I like to use for some information, Andrew Abbott threw over to first base 5 times in his Major League debut. Just thought that was interesting. A observation from the analytical stuff that I didn't see with my own eyeballs.
I like it. How do you say the Cardinals pitcher's name again?
Miles Michaelis.
Michaelis. His mustache his mustache stinks. Just saying. The Cardinals stink. That organization. We need to find a way to win tomorrow. Okay, we do need to find a way to win tomorrow. We don't want to have to go into that final game of the series with some pressure on having to have it. So let's win tomorrow with the chance to take the series on Sunday. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, I know Nick's this way. I'm not always this way. I'm optimistic what I see. I like what I see. It's enjoyable. CES is on the way. Just remember, CES is on the way. And if you get a chance, you can go and become a Reds Head Kids Club member. I don't know how big the jerseys get, but they are on sale right now for CES because they know he's coming. He's coming on Monday, so get ready for it. And if he's not, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a joke. It's all the other things you could possibly think of. And I don't want to hear one person, even you, Nick Kirby, tell me about how he's not ready because we all know he is. Other than that, much love to you. I'm going to remind you one more thing. All right? There's not a dunk tonight, but there is this. We're going to promo because we always promo. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. All right? We're at the 34 likes. I know when we lose, it is, people are down in the dumps. They don't want to hit the like button. They're just feeling sorry for themselves. You can't feel sorry for yourself in this world. That's not how it works. If you start feeling sorry for yourself, you got to remind yourself that you're better than that. And tomorrow, the Reds are going to walk out there remembering that they're better than what they were today. Because today they lost, and they're not losers. They're a bunch of winners. Well, most of them, at least. I won't tell you which one the losers are, but you can figure that out for yourself. Please go download, rate, and review Chatterbox Reds. Leave us a kind review. Like the stream. Thank you for watching. And as always, go Reds. Love you all.